Yo, what's up guys? It's your boy, Jay Real, just working on the EP3 still. So 2 days ago, I sent my knuckle assembly to Monroe here in town, and I gave them a couple bearings and I said, hey, the bearings are bad in both of these, can you replace them? So they called me back the next day and said, hey, the spindle on the side that had the broken wheel studs is bad, the spindle hub. And I said, okay, I'll bring in a new one tomorrow. Now, whether or not it was bad, I don't really know. I do know that the bearing was bad, so. But anyway, so I took that in this morning, went and got a bite to eat, came back, they had it all done. So I got both of them back and they both have new bearings in them. And so far, all I've done really is I just put these hard race ball joints in. So, oh, which one is this? This is the passenger side. So the thing that I noticed when I put these in, they didn't go like the other one went a little bit farther in. Like this lip right here went in a little more on the other side. I really wish that would focus. I don't know why it can't focus on that. It's all blurry. Anyway. Yeah, so now I've already got the driver's side going, and I noticed that when I put this into the control arm, it pushed this boot up. Like it actually caused there to be a crease right here where this line is. So that kind of concerns me. Hopefully that boot doesn't tear or anything, and we'll see how it goes. Alright, so quick tip, if you're going to put these hard race inverted reverse tie rod ends into your EP3, I'll just tell you what happened to me. So I went to put these in and I realized that the angle of, that shaft essentially, basically I couldn't get this to mount to my strut because it only wants to go straight up and down, or so I thought. Then I remembered it's a spherical bushing. So what I did, I took my Craftsman 1/4 inch and I put that in here. And then I took my 3/8 inch ratchet extension and I put it in there. And then I pulled it that way, which is the angle that I need to get it to bolt onto my strut. So I just put some force on it, held it, and did it. And as you can see, looking at the top view here, you can see how I've angled this way, this top portion here. I've angled it out towards the inside of the car. So that way when I go to mount it, I'm not trying to drive that shaft straight in here and screw up the threads. So just wanted to show you that little tip there. Yes, these are spherical bearings. They only rotate so much, but I think that that'll definitely improve the installation process. But anyway, hope that helped you guys, and yeah, that's it. Yo, what's up guys? It's your boy, Jay Real, and I have some good news. So I got everything done. My car is off of the jack stands and on the wheels, and got everything put in today. So putting everything back together took absolutely no time. I think I had everything done in 2 hours. So I pressed in the ball joints, put the snap rings in, I put the wheel hub assemblies in, bolted the struts up, reconnected the wheel speed sensor, put the castle nut and cotter pin on the bottom of the ball joint. Also got the tie rod ends in with the castle nut and the cotter pin on those as well. Put the brake rotors back on. Then I put the caliper brackets and calipers back on, and I put on new axle nuts, and I torqued those down, and they were brand new. So I, kinked the little bend for the axle on those axle nuts. So I got all that stuff done, which is awesome. Huge relief. My car's been sitting on jack stands for basically 6 days. 3 of those days I lost because of the ball joints. So I worked on those ball joints, trying to get them out of those lower control arms for 2 days. And then I finally reached out to a good friend, and he brought his cutting torch over, and we heated those control arms up until they were glowing red hot. And then we just beat the crap out of those old ball joints and finally got them out. So that was the biggest mountain to cross. So tomorrow, if I can find a place that's open that can align my car, I will be doing that. Also, in total, I have only spent $100 in labor. And that's because after I took out everything, I realized that the wheel bearings were no good. So I had those pressed out, and then I had new ones pressed in. I basically just took my bearings there and said, here, can you press these in? And then of course they called me yesterday and said, hey, the spindle on the passenger side is bad, the hub spindle. So I had to order one of those. So 2 new wheel bearings and a new spindle hub. And of course that came with the wheel studs, so I've got brand new wheel studs on that side. So yeah, I've got everything done. Tomorrow I'm going to go try to get it aligned. But anyway, let's take a look at some of the pictures that I've taken, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. All right, so looking at some of these pictures, you can see the original picture of the broken wheel stud here. And this was my insurance plan, so I ordered this salvaged assembly from a black EP3 over in Maryland from a scrapyard. Now, you can see where I tried to clean up the rotor. It had a lot of rust on it. And I did get it cleaned up, although there was a lot of pitting, so I realized that I couldn't use that rotor after all. And upon further inspection of it, I realized that the wheel bearing was bad in that one, so that is getting sent back. Now, once I did get those assemblies out of the car, I realized that the wheel bearings were bad in those as well, so I just used those, spent the knuckles that I had and pressed in new wheel bearings. So yeah, the hardest part right here are getting these stinking ball joints out. When your car is 16 years old, that doesn't help. And then to make matters worse, I lowered it about 2 weeks before I started working on these. And I think that just having them lowered and having those control arms in that weird position just really made them a lot harder to get out. Like I said, it took 3 days, and we used a stinking cutting torch to basically melt the control arms to get those ball joints out. So here you can see, once I got one of these out, I tried to get the snap ring off of one of these ball joints, one of the old ones, and yeah, my snap ring pliers were not doing it. So I just heated it up and then just basically bent it off because I didn't need that snap ring. My hard race ball joints came with snap rings. So yeah, here's a comparison. You can see the hard race ball joint is a lot beefier than the stock ball joint. Here are the driver side and passenger side assemblies with the new bearings pressed in, and obviously there's the passenger side one with the bearing and the spindle hub pressed in with the new wheel studs. Here's a better picture of what I talked about in the first video. You can see there's no clearance from the back of those wheel studs to the steering spindle, the spindle knuckle. Absolutely no way to hammer those out. So yeah, we got all that taken care of with the new spindle hub assembly that I had pressed in. Here's the ball joints after I pressed them in. You can see I've got the snap rings in, and yes, I did use a little bit of grease right there, and they snapped in and clicked in just fine, so they're seated in there firmly. Here's the old tie rod end, and I took it out, and you can see the hard race tie rod end kind of chilling there. And yep, there it is mounted up. Looks pretty good. So yeah, this is after I get everything bolted on. Got the caliper on, got the rotor on. There's a brand new spindle nut on each side. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So stay tuned, because in the next video, I'm going to talk about how much this costs and some of the tools you'll need, and I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty specifics. So thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I hope to see you in my next video. Peace.